As technology evolves, so do the threats facing businesses. From AI-driven risks like deepfakes and large-scale cyber attacks, organisations must take a proactive approach to security. Leadership, education and advanced tools like XDR are key to building this resilience. Joining us today to outline a little bit more about the sector is Amit Singh, founder and executive advisor of Events Consulting. It's wonderful to have you with me in the studio. It's a hot button topic. How is the risk landscape evolving, particularly with AI-driven threats?
Yeah, it's interesting. They're scary times, but also interesting times in IT and cybersecurity, because with advanced technologies like AI, the sophistication of attacks and threats have gone through the roof. And we've got things like deepfakes where people are impersonating others, which is a whole new type of attack vector, as well as just the ability for threats or attacks to scale much bigger because of what AI can do through automation.
You can spread far further with far less people or touch points. But
Exactly.
Why should cybersecurity be seen as an organisational risk rather than just a problem for IT members out there in organisations?
Yeah, that's a good question. And the way I think about it is I think about like your personal health.
Yep.
You can't just rely on your immune system to keep you safe and healthy. You've got to have education. You've got to understand what's good for you and what's bad for you. And you have to have some good habits, some systems in place to keep you on track. And it's the same in an organization. IT is the immune system. You can't just rely on them. There needs to be a whole lot of other stuff wrapped around them to be most effective.
Yeah, I agree with that one 110%. And I believe CEOs are becoming more and more, in charge of these things. They're going to be fined and such if data is breached. So something to consider. What are the three central pillars for managing organisational risk that you wanted to highlight for the viewers today?
Yeah, I take it back to that analogy. So when we think about IT are responsible for technology, and that's the first pillar. Obviously, we need to fight advanced technology with advanced technology. Then the next pillar is education. And I sort of touched on that, knowing what's good for you, what's bad for you. You can't rely on IT just knowing what's good for you and bad for you. All your stakeholders, your customers and your employees need to understand the real threats out there. And the third pillar is leadership. And that's about creating the culture of safeguarding our data. We have to know that it's really important, and we have to create the environment where people do the right thing, not because it's the rule, but because it's the culture of it.
I've heard it referred to as cyber hygiene. Is that something you sort of have heard in the ranks?
Exactly right. It's like having good manners. It's ingrained in you from a young age, and then it's natural, and that's kind of the same behaviour you expect at work.
I want to touch on some real world cases. For instance, the Medibank breach. How did that highlight the need for multifaceted cybersecurity approaches? Things like changing your password, putting on two-factor authentication on a personal level is quite strong, but enterprise level businesses, it's scary.
Yeah. Now, the Medibank case was a really interesting one. And I have to say, not here to cast stones.
No.
Many organizations face these sorts of issues.
Yeah.
They just got exposed, and that was a good thing for us ultimately. So in that particular case, it touches on all three of those pillars, because the breach was possible due to an employee sharing their personal credentials in their browser. They saved their password in their browser, which got replicated to the cloud, and that's how it was attacked and compromised. And that's a cultural thing.
Totally.
He probably did that because he was busy and he needed his password saved, and he needed to be able to work quickly. And so there was a leadership and a governance element there. And another point, just to touch on another pillar, was the technology side. They actually had an advanced tool. They had extended detection and response technology. There were alerts, but nobody acted on them. Which just tells you that maybe the education wasn't there, and maybe there was a governance problem there, that you've invested all this money in this great tool, but no one's using it.
And there's this hands-off approach of, hey, we bought that, didn't we? And let it sit there.
It's a compliance tick in a box, which isn't enough. It's just not enough these days.
Where to from here? 2025 is well underway. AI is shaping the industry in many ways. What are you and the team seeing?
Well, in my business, we spend a lot of time on the education side first and foremost. Nice. So we're spending a lot of time with our clients talking about strategy. Yep. And when it's about strategy, it's about how do you bake this right into your growth strategy. If the organization happens to have a goal to enter a new market or launch a new product, great. where does cybersecurity fit into this, and how is it going to be part and parcel of the work that you do? So that's where we begin, and we're seeing that these days there's a lot more of a willingness to factor that in and budget for it. And once you've got the thought leadership there, and you've got the budgets there and the desire there, the rest tends to follow. So I think this is a year where we'll see a lot of those getting put into action, a lot of new tools being implemented and integrated in, and we'll see a difference that way.
Absolutely. There's no point in closing the gate once the horse is bolted. Now, if people want to continue having this conversation, you and the team are clearly across this stuff. Where's the best place to engage and perhaps learn a little bit more?
Right on our website, events.com.au. Is the best place to go. We've got a lot of thought leadership there. We publish a lot of articles, and it's how you can get in touch with us.
Amit, I want to thank you for joining us on the program, highlighting a little bit more about what's going on. Again, we can only scratch the surface, so hopefully we speak again down the track.
Thanks, Mike.